In November 2003, a game changed everything. Need for Speed Underground was released to the public, bringing the street racing experience to millions of players. The impact this game had in culture cannot be understated. However, there was another game that was released in the same year, a few months before Underground, and focused on the street racing as well. While it received average reviews, it has stood the test of time and presents an interesting experience. 19 years later after its release, this is Tokyo Extreme Racer 3. Join me as we discover what sets this game apart and why you want to give it a chance. We press start and head into this experience, greeted by a simple menu. The only game mode worth talking about is Quest Mode. This is the game's career mode, and where you'll spend most of your time. It begins with an overdramatic cutscene, which is a recurring theme in this game. They are pretty cheesy and you might get a laugh out of them, but don't expect much. In a few words, it explains the events of the previous game, Tokyo Extreme Racer 0. The fastest racer in Japan was defeated 2 years ago, and everyone is competing for said title. This is the plot of the game, simple enough. Without anything else, the game allows you to buy a car. In most games, this isn't an important choice. Most cars can get by the first set of races without problems. But TXR3 breaks the habit. Your first car matters. Think about it as your difficulty settings, since the game doesn't have any. Another choice is presented soon after, choosing your first city. The game offers 3 different locations, Tokyo, Nagoya, and Osaka, the land of the ultimate male fantasy. So far, the game seems simple enough, but everything changes once we head out. The game greets you with an open map for you to roam. There are cars that pass you by, indicated with a blue arrow on top. Given the cars they drive, it's easy to tell these are other racers. But how do you race them? Nothing happens when you stay near them, outside a bar that shows up. Do you have to follow them? You start to mash buttons like a madman, and then something happens. This over-the-top theme starts playing and the camera shifts. The race has started. You have to flash your headlights at them, but the game doesn't tell you. In fact, the game doesn't mention any of its vital mechanics to you, the player. Left to your own devices to understand how it works. I prefer games that do this, but TXR3 can be cryptic, which makes it unapproachable at first. The races themselves are different from any other game. They aren't your regular circuit race, where you have a start and finish line. No. Each time you trigger a race, a set of bar appears on top of the screen. This is the SP marker. Think about it as a health bar. It decreases when you are behind an opponent or crash into a wall or traffic car, and the same rules apply to your opponent. This mechanic is great, really. It makes races swift and intense, because they can be decided before you realize. If your opponent gets a better start, you'll have to catch up quick or risk being left behind. At the same time, if you're ahead and lose control or crash, you can say goodbye to your victory and face a sudden defeat. Races in this game are chaotic and unpredictable. The first races will keep you on edge as you try to understand its handling physics. The first time you take a corner, it will feel very strange. The cars feel loose, like you are driving on ice and have no grip. The steering is sensitive, and you'll have to make corrections more often than not. If this sounds frustrating, you're right, it kind of is. However, these mechanics can be understood, and it offers a learning curve which other games don't have. There's a big chance that you lose your first race, like it happened to me while I was recording. As you keep doing races and facing different opponents, you'll come across another feature. See those numbers in the bottom left? Yeah, you have a temperature gauge, but for water and oil, and it's not for show. These temperatures will go up as you race, which is why longer races aren't of your interest. If water starts to boil, meaning if it reaches 100 degrees, wait a second. This game's temperatures are in Celsius, but the speedometer reads in miles, and no, you can't change it.
What the hell was that?
Yeah, some of you will have your minds blown here. Anyway, as I was saying, if water starts to boil, your car will overheat and go into limp mode. You lose a ton of power and it's certain defeat if your opponent overtakes. Oil can also overheat, but it takes longer as it should, so odds are you'll never overheat your oil. As I said, short races are the way to go here. There's also another way to lower your temperatures. Across each highway, there are marked spots, which are pit stops. These areas allow you to leave the highway and check a few basic things. Then you can head out again and your temperatures will be at the regular starting point. But if you do more races, say 9 or 10 per night, the next type of wear will manifest, and this one is an utter pain. Another thing the game will never tell you, but your tires start to wear out. Each race degrades the tires even further, and you won't be able to realize until the car becomes a block of soap that slides around without control. If you can figure this game out without looking the guide, you can solve life's greatest mysteries. Become a private investigator or changing your name to Sherlock. Tires are your limiting factor, putting an end to any plans of a sleepless night in Tokyo. As the night comes to an end, the game reveals one of its most curious and entertaining mechanics, the last item on this ordinary stat screen. BAEG name? This stands for Battle Ability Decision. The game analyzes your behavior during races, from your speed to the amount of collisions you have, and creates a custom name for you. This name reflects your reputation in the game's world. Each night you'll be hooked to see if your name has changed. And this system isn't simple. People haven't figured out the complete capabilities of it. There are countless names that we haven't discovered yet. It's that complex. And these details are what set TXR3 apart. Most racing games don't reflect upon the player's actions. Instead, with these mechanics, TXR3 shapes something that other games fail to achieve, a true sense of progress. You are a part of this world, and so are the racers that you defeat. Most racers that you encounter are part of a team, and yes, each team and racer has their own backstory, which you can read, shaping an individual character for each rival. The game also does an excellent job of introducing certain opponents, as they count with their own introduction. Once these brief clips start playing, they make you feel a strange sensation, a mix of curiosity and danger. These people are after you, and these are the consequences of your actions. Your notoriety as a racer has made you a target for those who want to be the fastest in Japan. Each time those cutscenes start playing, they will only motivate you to challenge them. These small pieces of the puzzle are possible thanks to TXR3's world. TXR3 takes place in 3 different cities, as mentioned previously, Tokyo, Nagoya and Osaka, placing you into a highway network. These are connected to other highway routes, creating a circuit of sorts. Each area is pretty big and it will take a while before you can do a complete loop. It doesn't get repetitive. The game also features a basic weather system. It can rain on certain nights and it does affect handling. Also, there are different effects that can happen at random, such as fog or thunderstorms. Each map is based on real-life highways. I can't show the footage here, but a quick YouTube search proves this. Tokyo's C1 loop is probably the most memorable. It looks quite close to its real counterparts, which is surprising for a 2003 video game. You can picture yourself stuck in a traffic jam during rush hour, but don't worry. The game doesn't offer that experience. If I say highways though, we all picture wide and open roads with endless lanes, but these are nowhere near that. Very few areas in this game are wide open straights where you can reach top speed, the opposite. Most areas have corners that demand a bit of care in order to get through them cleanly, without wall riding or crashing or spinning. You'll race in 2-lane roads that can barely fit 2 cars in parallel, and if there's a traffic car ahead, you better pray it doesn't spawn in your lane, or after a blind corner. These roads only add to the unpredictable nature of every race. Regarding traffic cars, there are these bizarre yellow bands with Genki's logo, which is the game's developer. There's nothing else but these things and racers in the map, and I swear to God, you'll grow to despise them as you play. They are an inconvenience. Just hearing that engine sound drives me mad. Okay, let's move into the cars. When it comes to playable cars, there's a massive variety to choose from. It's a JDM paradise. The game has the usual dream cars, GTRs, Evos, Imprezas, RX-7s, 3000 GT, Nissan ZEV and Supras, but it doesn't stop there. The XR3 features many cars that to us, living in the western side of the world, are unknown. There's a plethora of Japanese luxury sedans. Some might be familiar for those who play Gran Turismo, like the Mark V Chaser, but some, like the Nissan sedans, aren't too known in this side of the world. They are somewhat viable in game too. In fact, the Chaser is one of the best cars in the game, and you can buy it as your first. There are classic Japanese and European cars as well, but hold up, there's more. There are some outright bizarre cars as well, like the Isuzu V-Cross. Yes, that monster is in this game for some reason. Ever wanted to race an S-Class? You can in the XR3. It's a V12 W140, so you can pretend that it has a $12,000 exhaust and race. However, don't expect it to sound so well. Same applies to every car really. The engine sounds in this game aren't too good, even for its time. It wouldn't be a street racing game without customization, and the options are adequate. You can still make out some race cars, but it's nowhere near Underground's level. It's not even required to modify the aesthetics of your car. It's more functional as bumpers can be replaced by carbon fiber items, which help to reduce weight. The usual spoilers can be applied too. These matter as they are downforce, which is important really. To wrap up the aesthetical options, the game features a paint shop. The color of your car can be customized free of charge. However, there's another feature that allows you to create basic but custom decals. It's pretty clunky, but it's there. There are also performance upgrades. These are simple enough. Rather than multiple individual options, engine upgrades are divided by stages, and the same thing applies to exhaust. They have their unique design depending on the stage, and they are individual to each car, which is a nice detail. There's a ton of performance parts that can be changed, and it also features a section where certain settings can be tuned, such as suspension setup, gear ratios and downforce. You will use this section to get the best handling for your car, so get used to it. However, the holy grail of tuning on the XR3 are engine swaps. Yep, you heard that right. You can engine swap any car in the game. Want to put a 2JZ on a K car? Go ahead. Want to be it swap a Supra? By all means. You didn't see this kind of thing in games back then. These can affect your car's handling as well, so you need to pick carefully. However, these take ages to unlock, as you need to travel 1242 miles in the same car, and once you unlock these swaps, they can only be done to the vehicle that they were unlocked with, unless you beat the entire game. Then they are unlocked for all the vehicles. And this little fact is important, and I'll get back to it in a bit. The XR3 is a decent game, and it offers a lot of content, so it doesn't explain why it went under everyone's radar, but I know why. See, in Need for Speed Underground, it takes less than 5 minutes to dive into the game's career. There's a decent amount of content throughout the game, but you can grasp all of its mechanics and playable modes in less than an hour. An approachable experience that doesn't demand much out of you, well, until you meet its brutal rubber band mechanics. Underground can afford to leave the player to its own devices because it's straightforward enough. Build your car, race through the different events and be the best. The usual formula for racing games. And while the XR3 follows this formula, everything around it is more complex. The driving mechanics are awkward for anyone. I have played racing games for my entire life, and it still takes some time before I get used to it, but it's not only the driving physics that can scare a newcomer. If you have followed this video from the start, you earned yourself a cookie, but besides that, I am sure you have picked out on how many aspects of this game aren't mentioned to the player. Yes, the game doesn't even tell you how to start races, let alone anything else that you might like to know, like tire wear. The engine swaps I mentioned? You can finish the game without even knowing how they are unlocked. If you drive different cars, odds are you'll never come across them. There's a feature for turbo cars called Overboost, which is vital to win races as it gives you an extra bit of power. The game doesn't mention it either, it's hidden in your car settings. In this aspect, the XR3 behaves more like an RPG, leaving the player to discover its quirks, the most blatant display of it being the Wanderers. These are racers that you encounter throughout the game. kind of like you, the player. Oh no, they aren't handsome. Instead, these are racers that don't belong to any team. They all have specific requirements that have to be met, or they won't accept your challenge. The only type of racer that can do this in the game, and some of these requirements can be bizarre, like having a specific license plate, a specific time of day, which is dictated by PS2 internal clock, and there's another guy who wants you to have each generation of the Nissan Z in your garage, which means you'll have to sell your own car because the game only has 5 garage slots. It's fine to have parts of the game that have to be discovered, but DXR3 goes way overboard for a racing game, to the point where it's almost unplayable without a guide. When you pair this with its handling physics, DXR3 becomes an unapproachable experience. However, while it isn't perfect, it offers enough to stand on its own and offer a new experience for racing enthusiasts. It's a shame that people have missed on it on its release, but those who give this game a chance will be rewarded with a unique experience that no other game has replicated, even to this day. If you do play it, leave your thoughts in the comments below. If this video makes at least one person play this game, I'll be happy. And that's all I have to say, really. Until next time.